in these words. Because when we think of Moses coming from, being, in the king's house, being an Egyptian, and what he's went through, naturally we don't look at the scriptures of him being a needy, afflicted, weak, lowly, or depressed person. You get what I'm saying? So when we see that he's saying that he was, quote unquote, he was meat above all men which are on the face of the earth, it's showing you the state of this man, even though we know the position of power that he has. Because they saying, have Yahuwah indeed spoken only by Moses, and he have not spoken by us? So we got to understand that he's choosing Moses above all the people of the earth at this time to bring forth this word, knowing that what Moses came to do, commission us as a people, lead us through the Red Sea, all the things that he did to establish us as a nation. So we looking at that, and we tying that back into understanding when we talk about being the sons of Elohim. So let's go back and look at Psalm 62. So we looking at this because, like one of y'all said, we talking about being humble or of low degree. So we just gonna pick back up where we left off at verse 9 of Psalm 62.
Surely men of low degree are vanity, and men of high degree are a lie to be laid in the balance. They altogether lighter than vanity.
All right, so it says surely men, like I told y'all before, I know everybody went there, but when we look at it says surely men, that word for men right there is bond, which is sons. So it's saying surely sons of low degree are vanity, and men of high degree are a lie. So when we look at the word vanity, like we talked about before, it didn't mean wickedness or worthlessness. It meant a vapor or a breath. And that was the same word we use for Abel. We see that for Abel. So when we look at being the son of Elohim, we're going to go back and look at the story of Abel and understand how being of low degree and being a son of Elohim would make you a man of low degree. And we know who Moses was. We know that this was a man who was esteemed by the Father by the position that he had. But in the world, he was a man of low degree, a very meek man, a humble man, and understanding that being the son of Elohim, that's what we're going to have to take on in the world. All right? So let's look at that. Let's go to Genesis 4. All right.
Yeah, sit down.
Let's jump to verse 3. Genesis 4, verse 3.
In the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground, an offering unto Yahuwah. And Abel, he also brought the firstling of his flock and of the fat thereof. And Yahuwah had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
All right, so let's stop there. It said he had respect. It said he regarded. That's the word sha'ah, and that's saying he regarded it. He looked upon and he accepted it. All right, and it said, well, Cain's, he didn't have respect to it. So we seeing that these are the first two sons of Adam, the first son of Elohim that we see. With one son, Cain, he said he didn't accept it, and then Abel's he accepted. We're looking at Abel or Habal. That's the word breath, and that's the same word you got for vanity in Psalm 62. We understanding that his position as getting his sacrifice accepted, it put him in the position where he was at what's the best word to use? He was at variance against his brother because his brother's sacrifice wasn't accepted. And you looking at that because it's showing how his position, having his sacrifice accepted, put him in a position where he was lowly, he was weak, because through what his brother did to him, it showed how his life was just a breath, a life was just a vapor. Here on earth, we're not going to be regarded as high esteem. You know what I'm saying? Us being sons of Elohim and walking how we trying to walk, we're not going to be in a high regard here. You know what I'm saying? They always talk about the good die young and, different stuff like that you hear people talk about. When you living your life right, in the world, your life is not regarded as somebody who living wicked. We can tie that back into what we talking about with, the artists. You got these artists coming out, living how they want to live. As soon as they say something about y'all, you get other people who are more humble, people who are not in a great position. They come out with the same thing. It's like nobody here. It's like it don't hold no weight. You understand? And that's the same thing we're looking at what it's saying in Psalm 62. It says if you hold it in the balance, the person who is upright, the person who is of low degree, the person who's weak and being afflicted because they trying to do the right thing, in the eyes of the Most High, they life hold more weight. But here on earth, our life is just a breath, it's just a vapor. You understand? the things that they did, it's easy for them to persecute us. It's easy for them to talk bad about us. It's easy to do that because they don't hold our life as a value, because we're not of high degree here on earth. The position that we taking, doing, and walking the walk that we walking is putting us in a position where we are of low degree in the eyes of man, in the eyes of society, and what we're doing. And that's what we see with Abel. All right, and we gotta understand the same thing that he said right here. This verse, he say at verse 6 or at verse 5, Cain. It said, but unto Cain and his offering he had no respect, and Cain was wroth and his countenance fell. All right, because Cain is just upset that his offering wasn't accepted. The same way that the people was upset with Moses because the Father didn't choose Moses. You got to understand the direct opposition that we're going to have with, coming and being in this world and living how we're supposed to live and taking this man's word on. All right? And just in broad in general, everything we see going on.
Sit down.
A lot of people, especially people who know they're Israelites or whatever the case may be, they don't put together being the son of Elohim or son of God and being weak, needy, depressed, afflicted. Those characteristics of being humble or being of low degree, they don't tie them two things together. They don't tie really being called and chosen and equating really being humble and really being a man of low degree and really suffering like this man suffered and the persecution that come with that. And that's what we got to understand, because we go back to like what he been talking about last night, us being chastened, and us, he say, as a son, as he chastens his own son, you supposed to chasten your own children. You got to understand that he's chastening us because he care about us, he love us. So you got to understand that that's the part that's going to make us lowly. That's the part that's going to make us weak, because in the world, they don't want that chastisement of the Father. Because we see that people who say they in the Word, they say this is what they want to do, when that chastisement comes, when he trying to mold them and improve out their heart, we see they flee. You know what I'm saying? They don't really want to live that life of low degree. They don't really want to live that life of sorrow. They don't really want to live that life like he lived. They don't want to suffer to get that perfection. And that's what we're looking at. All right. So let's go back to Psalm 62 real quick.
What's wrong with you? Yeah, your shirt stuck because you wasn't sitting down like you were supposed to. That's how it happens to you.
Alright, and now let's look at it in the other way, because we didn't look at it like this last time. It say at verse 9, go ahead, give me verse 9.
Surely men of low degree are vanity, and men of high degree are a lie.
Alright, let's start there. It say men of high degree are a lie. When y'all think of a man of high degree of a lie, what you think of?
AJ.
Men are high degree of a lie.
Yeah, it say men of high degree are a lie. It say sons it say surely sons of low degree or humility are but a breath, but men are of high degree are a lie.
Your mama gonna spank your butt.
King Herod, and you saying that because he was a man of high degree.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Okay, you thinking about people in the world that are of high degree, but when we say that, we're looking at it the same way. Look when it say men. All right, so we're looking at it like that. That's why I said we ain't take this way last time. It say surely men of low degree are vanity, and then it say men or sons of high degree are a lie. So what y'all get from that? I'll help y'all out. Let's go to John 8:44. Go ahead, let's get that. John 8:44.
You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speak a lie, he speak of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it.
All right, so boom. Now we got to understand it. So we're talking about a men of high degree, or men who are not of affliction, of sorrows, being suffering to be proven and chosen worthy, or being chastised as a son, because we're looking at it as son. If you were a son of low degree, you were a son of Elohim, because we're showing examples of sons of Elohim being humble men, and they're being humbled by the chastisement of the Father. But if we're talking about men of high degree or a lie, we see that men of high degree are sons of their father, because they say right here, he was a murderer from the beginning, and bold not in truth, because there is no truth in him. And when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. He speaketh of himself. You understand? Because a man of high degree is all about self. We talked about this last night. You know, people in for self-will, self-ambition. It's all about them at the end of the day. You understand? That's not how we supposed to operate as sons of Elohim. So you got to understand that if we not abiding in truth, if we not presenting ourselves humble to be chastised by the Father and persecuted by the Father, so that we may become blameless and become perfect, we sons of the devil, we sons of the adversary. And that's what Psalm 62 is saying. It don't hold no weight. See, the life of somebody important, just like we see people die. We just talk about Charlie Murphy, somebody whose life is of importance. Even though this man was a sinner, when he died, his death holds weight. You understand? In the world, because this is somebody the world sees as somebody that is of high degree. You understand? If one of us get murked right now, ain't nobody gonna be talking about it. You understand? What we doing, our testimony, our strivings to live right, our suffering that we done went through to get to where we at, so we can hopefully when we die be made perfect. Nobody gonna talk about that. Nobody gonna talk about Abel bringing forth an acceptable sacrifice. We talking about who? Cain slaying him. You understand? That's what it's gonna be. So you gotta understand that that's the weight that is not gonna be held. The life of someone who of low degree is just a breath. It's just a vapor. It don't hold no weight. But it say the life of a man that's high degree is lighter than breath to the Most High, because he weighing out the true balance of the heart. He weighing out the true actions. He weighing out our hearts and what we doing, what's really going on. So that's what we looking at. That's how we're gonna look at it, and it's gonna tie right back into what he's been talking about him chastising us as children, and understanding that in this walk, that's what it's all about. It's all about the sufferings that we finna go through. It's all about him proving us out to see if this is what we really want. Because we see people throughout the scripture, when he proved them out, and not even throughout the scripture, in our day-to-day life, people going through the chastisement that don't want to take it. They hardening their heart to it. You understand? So let's look at that. Alright, let's look at John 6 and 66 real quick. Let me pull it up, because I got some words I want to look at. Let's jump over. Alright, we're at John chapter 6, verse 66. Go ahead.
From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him.
Mm-hmm.
Then said Yahushua unto the 12, will ye also go away?
Mm-hmm.
Then Simon Peter answered him, Master, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life.
Alright, so let's start there. So at 66 it say, from that time many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him. So we got people who are getting tried by what he's saying and what's going on. It's too heavy for them. It's too much for them. Anybody know what that word disciples means? We in the Greek. I give y'all. It's a learner or pupil or disciple. Someone who's being learned or pupil. All right. So we're saying that these were people that were coming to learn of this man. Right. They coming to learn of him so that they could become right his message. So you gotta understand that goes back to many are called and few are chosen. You get what I'm saying? It take more than just saying, oh boy, you an Israelite. That's just, if we want to look at that, that's just being called. They say many are called. That means it's going to be many people saying they're Israelite, but it's going to be few chosen. It's going to be few chosen that's really being sons of Elohim. Because we just went back and read that. You're not going to be sons of Elohim in 1 John and say you're not going to be born of the flesh. You understand? You're not going to be born of men or by blood. You're going to be born of your belief in the Father. And the belief in the Son is what's going to make you and give you that power to be a son. They don't want that power. They just want the blood of man. We are the seed of Israel. We are the stock of Abraham. You know that. That's the truth. Now you in the truth. That's not what it say. Because you can be of flesh and blood and still be of the adversary. That's what we just read. He said he the father of lie. It ain't no truth in him. So if you not living by this man's word and you not having full belief in the Son, you don't have power to be a son of Elohim. And that's where you got a lot of people out here perpetrating. You know what I'm saying? They really saying they Israel, they saying this and that, but they not really sons of Elohim, because they'll learn of this man, and once they get offended, and what's them getting offended? Once you get tried, once this man chastising you, once this man seeing, is this what you really about? Yeah, you talking about you're Israelite, but is you really to be a son? Because them two separate things. We see that. He got killed by his own people, so we see that. So we understanding that that's where that humility gonna come in. Like he always say, the main reason people gonna go to hell is because of what? Pride. That's the total opposite of being of low degree. So your inability to humble yourself, become of low degree, take affliction, take suffering, take being weak, because that's all it's gonna take for you to overcome your flesh. It's not gonna be easy to just jump up and overcome your flesh. He gonna try you to see if it's what you really want. And if it ain't what you really want, you're going to do like everybody else. You're going to be learning, a pupil. You saying you a disciple. You saying you in this word. You following after the master. And then as soon as something come up that you can't agree with or your flesh don't agree with, you're going to do the same thing everybody else did. And they walking with the master. You understand? So this is what we seeing. Everybody don't want that chastisement. Everybody don't want that because it's sorrows that come with that. It's affliction that come with that everybody not willing to take. All right? All right, let's jump to John 16. Everybody understand what we're talking about? So let's look at that. Let's see what the master tell them the same thing. We had John chapter 16. All right, John chapter 16, and let's go to verse 22.
And you now therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again. Mm-hmm. And your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man shall take from you. Mm-hmm. In that day you shall ask me nothing. Truly, truly, I say unto you, whatsoever you shall ask the Father in my name, he will give it to you.
All right, so it say here, it say, now therefore you're going to have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice. So now we're looking at the aspect of the understanding of the mindset we got to have, knowing that we're going to rejoice when that time has come for us to be exalted. Because you got to understand, the humble will be exalted. And that's what we talked about more so last time, about the humble being exalted and the proud being brought down. We were looking at that. We were looking at examples of that happening. But now we're looking at understanding our hope is to be exalted, and that's what's going to make us suffer and make us go through the chastisement. Because if you don't really feel like it's a game, or you don't really believe that you can be a son of Elohim, you're not going to have no power to overcome your flesh or to continue to endure the stuff you're going through. So understanding that is why we continue to go on. That's why we come to study every week. That's why we show that pattern of consistency. Overcoming your flesh daily, every day, enduring. That's the whole point of showing consistency. Those are the attributes of a son of Elohim. That consistency, day in, day out, every week, every day, every month, every year, enduring that until that time comes. Because we know it's going to be sorrowful, but we anticipate a greater reward at the end. All right, let's look at that. Let's go to James 1. All right, let's go to James 1 and verse 9.
Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted, but the rich in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away.
Right, so we see that. It say, let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted. We already know what low degree is, the same word humble is Greek. Metaphorically as a condition, lowly, brought low with grief, depressed, lowly in spirit, humble. That's what we know. We know that us being humble and us being oppressed now, of low degree now, sorrowful now, is the reward that we're going to get by being exalted as sons of Elohim. Taking that chastisement so we can be sons of Elohim. Alright? But it say, but the rich, in that he was made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. Because we already see that if you don't choose that route of being humble and being afflicted, and choose that route of being a son of the Father, you're going to in turn be the son of the Father alive, the son of the adversary. And you're going to be brought low because it's not about us. And if you live in this life thinking it's about me, what I want to do, this is what I want to do, that's the mindset a lot of people can't even get out of when they first come into the word. They first hear the word. When you got to give up this, you got to give up that. People who not even that willing to give up the rudimentary stuff, you already know this not for them. Because as far as you go, the deeper you go, the more he chastises you. He's going to prove out your heart. Are you willing to be for me to the death? And that's what he was just talking about. Shadrach, Meshach, Daniel, Cain, these people who suffered to the death, even though we know Daniel didn't die, he was willing to do that because he already knew where his faith was at. He knew that he believed that that was his power, that him going through those afflictions, he was going to be exalted even if he did die. You understand? We got to know that to the end, because We not getting persecuted right now. People can make songs and talk about y'all and do this, do that, and the third. They not persecuting us. So the affliction that we really suffering on the day to day is us forsaking our flesh. That's the only real day to day struggle. We not getting no outward oppression from nobody. You might get something from your family. You know what I'm saying? That's just because you're not doing what you used to be doing. You're not doing what they want you to do. That's nothing. That's nothing compared to. We not getting no one acting violent towards us. You know what I'm saying? We able to do what we want to do. We not seeing that. And you got to see how people who just from the word them purging their sins of their own self to get their self right, they not walking. And they putting the book down. We see this just over they self. They can't even get over they self. So we talking about when the outward oppression come, the real trouble come, when people are openly persecuting you like they did in these stories that we see, people not going to be walking. People going to be forsaking this. And we got to understand, us getting that power to be sons of Elohim, when that time comes and we endure to that point, we're going to already have forsaken our flesh enough to want to die. That's the whole point of being a low degree here. Once you get to a certain point and your faith is perfected and you cleanse yourself and you purge yourself, if you get persecution like that, you should be welcome in death because you know you've done everything to stand. And that's what we got to look at. Like, we can't just look at it as we just trying to get through so we can say that we perfect. It's because if anything was to happen, are you going to be able to stand forth in front of tribulation with a gun in your head or whatever the case may be and be content enough to know that you can die knowing that you will be exalted? Do you have that much faith? Because that's where your power comes. Because if you got power to overcome your flesh and overcome yourself, you're going to have power to overcome death. That's what he told us. That's what he did. He overcame death. And that's the power he had. And you take on that power by you sacrificing yourself and becoming humble. That's the whole point. That's the whole thing we're looking at. If you don't want to take that chastisement, you're not going to be willing to die. You're not. Alright? So let's look at that. Let's look at that in Hebrews. Well, matter of fact, let's look at the Old Testament first. Let's look at Proverbs 3. Let's go to verse.
You didn't say that chapter loud enough at all.
Proverbs 3, I'm sorry. Proverbs 3, verse 11.
My son, despise not the chastening of Yahuwah, neither be weary of his correction. Mm-hmm. For whom Yahuwah love, he correct, even as a father the son in whom he delight.
Right. So that's what we're looking at. Understanding that you getting that love and that delight from the Father by overcoming and taking that chastisement and being humble and humbling yourself. Alright? And we look at the same thing with the master. He said, behold, this is my son whom I'm well pleased. We understand that suffering that he went through was to show forth that he was the son of Elohim. It's to show forth that he was who he said he was. He said he was the son of God. They say he was blaspheming. But we see that he had that power through his death and through his resurrection. Through him having power to upstand the beating and the suffering and being persecuted, being hung up on the stake, being pierced. That's what we keep reading because that same strength we got to have. A lot of us in here are not willing to go through half the stuff this man went through just to be saved and just to get eternal life. And I'm coming forth from the standpoint where I know where I was and I know where I am now. And I know that the more I continue to grow and he chastises me and he reproves me and he corrects me, knowing that he's doing that, he's showing forth that he loves me. You understand? And you can't forsake this man's love because once you step outside of that, that's it. We did a lesson on that. You understanding that you forsaking your power that you could have. That's the sacrifice you're making by serving your flesh. Because he's not finna keep coming back after you and keep correcting you for the same thing you keep doing over. He gonna let you go. We done seen stories on that. So we gotta understand that. Take that correction, take it in stride so that you can become humble. Because the only thing it's doing is bringing you low, humbling you, afflicting you so that you can be seen as meek in his eyes. Because if you don't have that meekness about you, you're not going to be able to withstand. Alright? What that's that? Okay, let's go to the same thing. I'm going to wrap up here. Hebrews 12 and 5.
12 and 5.
Let's go to Hebrews 12 and 5 and we'll go Philippians 2 and 15. Alright, it's the same thing.
Have you forgotten the exhortation which speak unto you as unto children? My son, despise not now the chastening of Yahuwah, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom Yahuwah love, he chasten, and scourge every son whom he receive. If you endure chastening, Elohim deal with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chastened not? But if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then ye are bastards and not sons.
Boom. So it's telling you right here. We know where the writer of Hebrews getting this from, because we just read it in Proverbs. But then he go even further and say,
Lock that door for me.
if you look at that even further, if you look at it, he say, but if you go without chastisement, right, whereof of all partakers, then ye are bastards and not sons. You cannot go through this man and be found a son if you do not go through this chastisement. And if you get chastised and you come back and you want to keep doing the same thing over and over, that's it. He's not going to keep going for that. It say right here, it's furthermore, we have had fathers of our own flesh corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? So it's pretty much saying, you took correction from your earthly father, your earthly mother. Why can't you take correction from the Father? You know what I'm saying? And you know, just like we do kids now, you know what I'm saying? Your kids kick and scream when you tell them to do something, but at the end of the day, they do it. Why we can't just take the correction of our Father so that we may live, that we may inherit eternal life, that we can be humble so that we can overcome? You understand? That's what we're looking at. It's just that simple. But to everybody else, it's being a high degree. That's how we know it's pride. It's about being seen of men. Even people that profess that they in the word, it's about being seen of men. Who can bring this out? Who can bring that out? Who look the best? Who got the most followers? You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. And you know that that's not humility. That's the total opposite. So you gotta understand, people who don't have discernment can't even see that, because you got people following these people, not seeing how these people are not showing attributes of sons of Elohim. They not even showing forth to be a son of Elohim outwardly. That we can see. But you see people gravitate to that. That show that they not chosen. That's the blind leading the blind. That's what he said. So we gotta understand, we are in a position where we know he moving in our life, chastising us, separating us from people, separating us from lifestyles, separating us from things that we know that's going to enable us from becoming humble, so that we can receive this man's spirit.
All right, listen.
Right? The key thing we're looking at is right here at 5. He say,
you missed that train.
At 6, he say, from whom Yahuwah loveth, he chastened and scourged every son he received. We looking to be received. You understand? We haven't been received of this man because we still going through our chastisement. So we want to be received of him. We got to continue to go through this stuff so we can become humble. All right? We have Philippians. We're going to wrap up there. 2 and 15.
That's it.
4. That you may be blameless and harmless, the sons of Elohim, without rebuke in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, of whom ye shine as lights in the world.
All right, and we're looking at that because that's what the chastising giving you. It's giving you the power to become blameless and harmless, the sons of Elohim, without rebuke. Because like we talked about last time we ended off, if you saying that you are this man, you bringing this man name to shame when you out here saying that you of Yah and this, that, and the third, but you still living and doing stuff that's contrary to him, you blaspheming this man's name. How you gonna say you're a son of God when you still got stuff that you not purged out of your life? People looking at that because that's your testimony. That's why it's saying you gotta be seen blameless in a perverse generation. People already wicked. You see these people wicked, so the first thing they saying is they not seeing that. Like we just saw, even I keep mentioning this because it was on my mind. We were talking about it. The same way we'll see this man say, "I'm an Israelite," this, that, and the third. You right here on the video with hoes. You talking about hitting hoes. You talking about doing this, that, and the third. How's you bringing esteem to the Father? How you present yourself blameless? How you showing you a son of God? Are you just saying you an Israelite? You saying you know some book? Or are you really present your life a living sacrifice so this man can receive you as a son? That's what we trying to do. Everybody else trying to get esteem from man, how I look in the eyes of man, how I look in the eyes of women. That's not what we own. So I'm saying that to show that you being a low degree and understanding that if you feeling like it's hard, if you feeling like it's weak, you weak, you know what I'm saying? You feeling like you going through and you depressed, you got to understand that that's the lifestyle and that's the mind that you done took on by suffering like this man suffering, and saying that you want to live how this man lived, that you want to obtain the kingdom that this man got prepared for us. We got to live that. We got to feel that. He not going to take you in as a son without doing that. You're not just going to have this easy, clean, smooth life and not go through nothing and feel like this man going to take you. You understand? So that's the message, understanding that being a low degree, even though it's hard here on earth, you got to understand that that's what we do to go through to attain eternal life and get a kingdom that's prepared for us at the end.
Give me a second, y'all.